to Breakfast with Spaniels with Dr. Judy Morgan.
Morning, everyone. Rested. Summit was a busy weekend. Always a busy weekend.
Remember, you can purchase all of Dr. Morgan's products at her website at www.drjudymorgan.com. Now it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
All right. Welcome back, all of those of you who joined us for the Cat Summit this weekend. And I think a lot of people were also watching the Dog Gut Health Summit, which I think continues today and tomorrow. That was not our platform. I was just one of the speakers, so I'm not as familiar with everything that's going on with that, but I've heard some good feedback. So that's great, and hopefully you got tons of education. Your brains are exploding. I have to say my brain wanted to explode by the end of the Cat Summit because I learned a ton. Our experts were amazing, and I learned things that I didn't learn in vet school, that I didn't know about kitty cats. So it kind of blew my mind a little bit. It was pretty amazing. So one of the things that we talked about our last lecture yesterday afternoon, yesterday early afternoon, it wasn't our last one. We talked about DNA testing for cats with a company called Predisposed. And Dr. Karupu was brilliant and amazing. Tons of information that she shared with us. But it really made me realize that genetic testing is often overlooked. And we should all be using it, really. Whether I know a lot of breeders use genetic testing, and that's great that they do. Oh. Somebody bit somebody else's ear a little too hard playing. A lot of breeders use genetic testing because they want to make sure that they're pairing up the right parents. And if they have two dogs or two cats who are carriers of something that they don't want passed on, then they can avoid breeding those two together and breed a clear animal with a carrier animal, especially if it's a recessive gene. So the breeders have known about this testing for quite a while and have been utilizing it, but us in general pet owners who aren't doing breeding really should consider utilizing these. Predisposed is one that's available for cats. There's also Wisdom Panel and Embark that do dogs. I think at least one of those does cats as well. And a lot of times people are looking at genetic testing just from the standpoint of, gee, I found this dog or I adopted this dog. I'd really like to know what breeds are in there, what mixes are in there. And so we do it as sort of this fun little exercise of, oh, look at that. He's part Yorkie and part St. Bernard. How did that happen? But that's, that's just a teeny tiny part of the information that we should be interested in. What we really should be interested in is, hey, what genetic markers does my pet have for diseases that are found in dogs and cats? Does my dog have the genetic makeup that is going to predispose him to dilated cardiomyopathy or mitral valve disease or cataracts or kidney failure? There's so many things that we can test for at this point. And some of the testing that's being done Baseball is even doing some dental microbiome testing, which is really interesting. And they are looking at how dental microbiome affects kidney disease. And so there's so much research that goes into this stuff. It was great. You couldn't find the dog summit. I don't send it to you. That's through a different website. You're computer illiterate. I don't send it to you. Irene, if you want to send us an email, info at drjudymorgan.com, we can probably find the link for you so that you can get into it. Every one of your pets is tested, 5 dogs now, and 1 passed now with Embark. Yeah, I've seen some of these reports that come in from these companies. They're very detailed. And, what if you, for instance, those of us with Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, we know that there's a good chance they're going to develop some mitral valve disease somewhere along the line. And that's why I'm so proactive with the CoQ10 and the omega-3s and the high meat diet. So they're getting their taurine and their carnitine. All the things that we do to be proactive to protect them and try to put off what's almost inevitable. So if you had that information ahead of time, you could really change how you might do things. For instance, if your cat had genetic markers that said, hey, this cat's really predisposed to asthma, wouldn't you start very early on in that cat's life, making sure that it was not exposed to artificial fragrances, candles, sprays, cleaners, smoke, all the different things that can contribute? Wouldn't you be looking at feeding and using herbs and supplements to support the lung system in that animal if you knew that they were predisposed to that? So I think that by doing genetic testing, we did, there is a link on our website for Basepause. They were nice enough to give a 15% discount. So for kitty cat owners, if you go to our affiliate link, you'll find that discount code on there. Thank you, Teresa, for posting the Pet Summit link. There you go, Irene. So if you get a test back that says that your animal is predisposed to that particular disease, no, it does not mean 100% certain that your pet will develop that disease. It just means they have the genetic predisposition for it. And that would give you a lot of information that you could use to be proactive. So I think that these tests are pretty amazing and very valuable. I'm actually going to do the tests on our house cats, because I can't grab the barn kitties and get blood from them. I can't even pet them, so that would be very difficult. But for the house kitties, I think it'll be very interesting. We've got 2 that are siblings, and one of the things with cats is that there can be 2 daddies for 1 litter. And Eggplant and Mittens are brother and sister, but one is 15 pounds, one is 5 pounds. It'll be interesting to see if maybe there was a second daddy that slipped in there, but also to see what cat litter with cat asthma. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what their genetic makeup is. Mittens already has some asthma, but she does not. Is she also going to be predisposed to that? So I thought it was really an interesting, thought-provoking talk with how much information we can gain. And the interesting thing is, at least with Basepause, I don't know about the other companies that are doing dogs and cats. They're keeping a huge database, and as their database grows, if you have sent in your animal's DNA, it stays in that database. And as they find new genetic markers, they will send you updates because your cat's DNA just keeps running through that sequence. So really very cool that you keep getting updated information. So I think it would be, thanks Teresa for posting the link. Gotta always trust Teresa. She's on top of things. Just the more information you have, it's just being armed with knowledge. And frankly, as a veterinarian, when I only had a couple of breeders that I worked with, and they would do these panels on their own breeding dogs, I really liked it when they brought me those reports. And it's like, oh, look at all this information we have. Look at what we can be doing. Breeders are really looking at it for deciding who stays in the breeding program, who leaves the breeding program, what we have to be careful with. But I think for the average pet owner, there's still so much information that you can gain. I would think your veterinarian would be thankful if you walked in with a copy of that and said, hey, look at this, how do I be proactive with my pet? And some of these come back with a very, 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 very long list. So you might just want to highlight the ones that you're concerned about because veterinarians are really busy right now. Okay, everybody have a wonderful day. Go check out some of these. Like I said, there's Wisdom Panel, Embark, Base Paws. For those of you who watched the cat summit yesterday and saw her, I'm sure you will agree that she was brilliant. And the work that they are doing is just amazing. Let me tell you, I learned more about cat behavior and cat stress and why my cats act like they do, and things I need to change in our cat space for them. I thought I had this great cat space. Some things I need to change. So, gonna work on that. It was cool. Where is the new puppy? I think the new puppy's out in the other room after he got snarfed at for chewing on an ear with his little needle teeth. I think he left. Don't see him. He's fun though. I've been posting videos with him and Sarah. They're really cute. Alright, everybody have a great day.